Hello, guys. We are live, and we are here to talk about protecting our babies. Close my door. And I'm waiting for people to come in. You know what? God just told me, and I just got this unction that I'm not gonna stop. No matter how many views I get, no matter what goes on this channel, I am not going to stop sharing on this channel because I was a little, flustered by the fact that a lot of people won't share certain stuff, and I'm trying my best to share things that are so important. So important. Good afternoon, Anne Marie. So important to us, to life, to do better, be better, all of the above. And it's so difficult because people don't like to share, and it's crazy that people don't like to share. If I find something important, I find something that can be beneficial to a family or loved one or somebody, I am sharing it. I'm always sharing videos. I'm always sharing other people's videos, always sharing, period. And we're not talking about no regular videos. We're talking about stuff that breaks homes up, puts people in prison, take people away from other people for a long time, that mentally messes up children and they become messed up adults. We're talking about real stuff over here. But a lot of times people don't want to hear that. And I just hear God telling me, don't stop, don't give up, keep doing it. Because I'm looking at right now, but at the end of the day, I am not going to I am not going to stop, because my goal is to at least help or reach one person. And that is why I have this channel. Now, today, we're talking about protecting the kids. We're going to try to make this fast. I'm going to try to get in and get what I have to say out. Okay, so we do know that a lot of children, a lot of adults have had lots of things happen to them where they have been molested or raped, and had things happen that were out of their control. That's number one. Number two, we do know that you hear as a parent, or even if you don't have kids, you hear people say you got to have the talk one day with your child. Some people call it the birds and the bees. Some people call it other things. You can call it whatever you want it, but you need to have the talk. Hello, Shanta, how are you? But you need to have that talk. And tonight I'm going to be talking about some things that most people don't want to talk about. You can not listen to this video, not pay it any attention, but that's not going to stop the fact that there are men, women, children out there targeting our children and ready to destroy them mentally and physically and have them screwed up as adults. So if you don't have time to figure out the best way to tackle those conversations, or to tackle the talk, or to tackle having open communication with your child, then that's something I hope that it bothers you. I do. You know why I do? Because working in a correctional facility and working in that field and understanding that this does not just occur when you think of rape, sodomy, molestation, and all that. The first thing you think of is a man. A man. The offender is always a man. The suspect is always a man. But do you guys realize it's not always a man? It is women. It is also children doing it to younger children. So keep that in mind when you allow your children to stay overnight. When you allow your children to go places. I don't care who it's with. Keep that in mind. Everybody does not have your child's best interest at heart. And realize, do you know over 35 to 55% of the cases of these things that we're talking about are not even talked about. A lot of people live with these things and don't share them with people. People don't even have a clue. People don't even know it happened to them. Why? Because the parents back in the days never had to talk. Never had to talk or had such an open communication or relationship with their kids where that kid was able to say, mommy, uncle did this, mommy, auntie did this, or whatever the case may be. Or a lot of times that mother was so entwined with that man or with that person that they would take and believe that believe that person over their child, which is sad, And let's just say those cases are out there, but let's just say we have more parents. Let's just think that we have more parents that love their kids and wouldn't ignore their child when their child cries out. Let's just say that. Let's just think positive about this thing, because we know it is the truth. There's a lot of women I've met girls. I've met people who have had situations where they literally had to leave their home, or they ran away because their mom or their dad did not believe that this person did this thing to them. And they grew up being a very promiscuous person, not trusting anyone, because the only people that kids have to trust is their parents. And if they can't trust their parents to protect them, who else can they trust? They're just an open vessel, an open soul out there for anybody to just tear them apart. And with that being said, you want to protect them. So the first thing, I got notes here. We know it's not just men. We know we have to be aware. Be aware meaning what? You have to understand the way your children move, the way your children act, the way your children responds to things. If you are an in-tune parent, you will know that. Don't be overworking yourself and working all the time that you can't pay attention to the difference in your child and know that something is wrong. Because usually when a child is going through some type of sexual abuse, they will change. They will change. If they're quiet, they might be quieter. Sometimes they may be outbursting, have outbursts, or it's different with different kids. So you have to realize this. When you have that talk, you have to explain to them with a, not with a smile, like jolly smile, but explain to them with a way where they can understand that there is a concern and there is something. My husband is putting trim up in Rizzy's room, so I hope y'all don't hear that. There is a concern, but not a concern where they're bad or they did anything wrong. That you're concerned that if anything ever happens or anyone tries something, that you want to protect them, and you're concerned that they will not come and tell you, but you want them to know that you are there to hear them out no matter what. Okay, no matter what. So with that being said, you explain it. You explain the body parts. You have to let them know what these body parts do, what these body parts are. I am experienced mom. I am experienced in and basically having these talks. So I'm telling you what I did, what I do, and what I've helped other people do. I'm not an expert, but what I can do is tell you how you can help protect yourself, and you can go further with it to get more information from wherever you need to get it, but get as much as you can. So we sat down with our girls and we talked to them and asked them, did they know the difference between a man and a woman, or a female and a male's body part? And just let them talk. Let them talk, because the more that they talk, kids are so much more advanced than we were, meaning they are they're exposed to more than we were exposed to at their age. So you will be surprised what your child knows. That's why you need to have the talk too, because you want to know what your child already knows. You know, I was talking to a mom, and she had no clue that her baby knew everything about sex. Knew everything about sex. Had a conversation, and she was just like, oh yeah, the pinky goes into the, and then when they do that, and then it feels good, and then I mean the little girl told her mom what her mom wasn't ready to talk about with her, and she already knew from somebody else. So when you have that talk, it doesn't make it feel weird, because now you have the talk, and then this person has already had the talk, and you don't know what they're saying. So it's kind of like you're forewarning them and letting them know what the talk is all about, and then you get that open line of communication, so that way that talk makes them comfortable when they're young. So that way, if anything happen as they get older, whether it's time for them to try and break that virginity, and I hate to say it, but let's be real with life, things like that happen. All of us do not stay virgins until we're married, and we have to face that as parents as well. So with that being said, you have that talk and you explain the body parts, you explain how they work, and you be real about how babies happen and diseases and all that stuff. And you want to find the best way to explain it at their age level. And it's so many ways that you can do that. I'm not going to go in depth today, but I'm explaining those to you so that way you can reach out and figure out the ways to do it for your age range. And there's YouTube videos, there's books in the library. I would suggest getting books in the library so you can read it, ponder it, take notes or whatever. The next one is, like I said, don't show emotion. Make sure when you're explaining this to your child that you are talking to them in such a way, like I'm talking to you right now. Don't be like, please, if somebody ever, you don't want that sadness on you, because when you have that sadness on you, what's going to happen is it's going to mentally equate to them that this thing that's wrong or that's happening, even though a kid may not have had the talk, it's just something that God naturally puts in us. We know right from wrong. They may not be able to explain what exactly went wrong, but they feel and know when something is not right. That's why I say a child can feel a person out. They can feel an energy out. They can feel an energy out. And when something like that is taking place, that is a negative energy and it overwhelms their little soul. So it definitely is going to leave them feeling like something is wrong. But if you already had to talk, they're going to know, oh, this is that thing mommy was talking about. I'm going to tell mommy that such and such touched my bum bum or whatever the case may be, and come tell you. Okay, so my next thing is this: you must have a code for your child. You must have a code for yourself. Now, what am I talking about? A code for your child is a code that you have to find one that sounds so great that no matter what the situation is, if they were to say it, the abductor, the kidnapper, or the person would not think that they were saying something really weird off the wall and kind of take heed to it and be like, oh, get off the phone. You have to find a code word. So let's just say you're talking to your son on the phone and something's not right and he's with somebody, or things didn't go the way he thought it was, and you knew he was going somewhere, whatever the case may be, and he don't want to feel like a punk, but someone's getting ready to fight or someone's getting ready to do drugs or something. These code words can be for more than one thing, and he's like, mom, yeah, mom, yeah, mom, I checked the clothes and laundry, or yeah, mom, I made my bed, or something that's just off the wall that you didn't ask that question. So that's him giving you the alert that something is wrong. You get what I'm saying? So therefore, you at that time could try to figure out where your son is, who he was with, blah blah blah, and get on your business to go do what you need to do. So that's a code word. Your code word is for them to tell you something is wrong. And if somebody has them, sometimes you see it in the movies. God forbid that we would have to experience this, but sometimes they make them call if they looking for some money, and you have to have a code word that's just so nonchalant that they wouldn't even understand that they're signaling you that this somebody got me and it's not good. You get what I'm saying? Then you have to have a word for the little ones, and not only for the little ones, but for your child when someone tries to come to them. That way they won't even get into that abduction situation or the kidnap situation, to tell them, hey, if you go get my child, say blue pineapples or whatever, I'm just making up something. And that way, when that person go get your child, they say, hey, little Mikey, your mother said blue pineapples, you need to come with me because she got into a car accident, or you need to come with me, she's not feeling good, I had to come get you, whatever. Because a lot of times they will use the child's parents to make them come with them, or your mommy is sick or something happened to your mom, or blah blah blah, or whatever the case may be. Okay, I was thinking the other day and I said, I really got to ponder this. What if something happens and you can't tell the person the code word because you're out of it, or whatever the case may be? So that's a whole nother situation. That's a whole nother situation. We just have to hope and think positive that in a situation like that, it would only be law enforcement or a family member, or somebody is going to contact that child that child knows, or whatever. But I'm gonna ponder that, because maybe something else can happen as far as that is concerned too. But I don't know how, because if you're really hurt, then you would really be hurt. So you can't say nothing. But anyway, we're talking about if you really did get hurt and say your phone is messed up, and or your car is broke down and you can't get in touch with the school or something. I don't know. You just have to have a code word. Things happen. You might get disconnected from your child on a vacation, and it's not about a vehicle, it's not about an accident, and someone has your child or has you and y'all separated, and you like, hey, your mommy looking for you and she told me to tell you such and such blue pineapples, da 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 da, and whatever, and bring you to your mom, or bring your child to you, and now your child knows it's you. So that was the other thing. Okay. And then it says over 500,000 kids are born a year, and that's in the US. I mean, 500,000 children in the US born every year. It's more than that, but about half a million before the age of 18 are raped or molested. So if it's 500,000, that's like every two people, three people in a room, somebody has been molested or raped or sodomized or something has been done to them. That means that your child, whether you want to admit it, face it or not, your child is going to be one out of the three. I mean, one of those three. At one point in life, it's going to be one of those three. When they do statistics, it's that person and two more people. It doesn't matter if two more people are the victim or one of the two are the victim, but that statistic is like 1 in 3. Do you hear that? Do you have time to not talk to your child? Do you have time to be so consumed in life trying to get it done and give them things that you don't have the time to express that these people exist? Not only do these people exist, but I'm going to talk about when I worked in corrections. I worked with sex offenders. All right? But let's get even deeper. Not only did I work with sex offenders, but I worked with sex offender children. These were children from the age, I don't think nobody was under 10. I think it was like 11. 11 to like 14. And then from there, from 15 and up, they were in another area. These children had the most heinous crimes that I can imagine. And until I worked there, I never realized that this went on so seriously like this. I work with sex offender children who in South Carolina were facing time. I'm talking the minimum I seen was like 15 months. The max that I seen for a child because he committed a heinous crime on a baby and a toddler was 13 years. He had 13 years. These were kids. Okay? So when a child has this happen to them, a lot of times, God forbid, they don't get the help they need or have the support they need. They internalize it as something that's okay, and then they start doing it to other children. I met children, guys. I want y'all to hear this because when you let your kids stay the night with people and you let your kids just do what they want to do because mommy is a mean mommy if you don't, my kids don't stay the night with anyone. Only time my daughter is gone right now. She's with her godparents and she has went with them multiple times. And, God forbid, but I trust at this point, I can say I trust that situation. So what I'm saying to you guys is when I met these children, I mean, smiley, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, and then they'll flip. And then to know that I'm standing in front of a kid who's 12, who Peter got stuck in a 6-month-old niece of his. I'm standing in front of a boy who's 11, who sodomized his nephew at age 2. I'm standing in front of a 14-year-old who multiple times had sex with his 1-year-old niece. Okay? How? How do you multiply do something like that in a parent? The reason I'm saying this to you is because of this, guys. I had a counselor, therapist, psychiatrist, or whatever when I was working that I got really close with. I'm never going to give names or anything like that. But when I came in there thinking just, juvenile, detention center, I did not want to be with the sex offenders when I first got there. And that's what I said. And this lady, she blatantly told me I can take a pink slip or I can take the job. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be the best officer I can be just because she's trying to test me. And I was so hurt. I cried. You know how you cry, but you just don't let tears fall. You just try to suck it up. I did that. And I went on and I took that unit even though I didn't want to. And when I started hearing the crimes of these kids, it made me go crazy. It made me go crazy. It was a lot to fathom because what y'all fail to realize is we used to be kids at one time. All of us that are adults. Our kids are our future. Our children are our future. We were the future in the past. Now we're here standing in the future as adults, supposed to be productively running this world and helping to be productive citizens and responsible adults to make this world better for our children and for people that we are around. Imagine if we decide to not build the communication and build these relationships with these kids like they need. Mentoring is serious. Not every parent knows how to be a good parent. Not every parent knows how to love, because a lot of parents have been through things like what I'm talking about, and no one loved them. No one knew how to hug them. No one knew how to coach them into realizing it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault. And they can do better. And that person will pay for what they've done to them. It's never your fault. Don't let that bring you down. If God gave you breath to continue moving and you're still able to hear my voice, realize it was never your fault. Realize some people don't understand how to grab you and say they love you and tell you that they got you and they're sorry that that happened to you, but it will never happen again. Some people don't know how to do that. But if you hear my voice, God's got you. Trust me. I'm telling you because I've been there. I'm telling you because I've been there. I'm telling you because I've been there. Y'all don't realize how that will mess up a person. It will mess them up in relationships. Do you know why I always keep saying it's not just men? It's not just men. It's not just men. It's not just men. It's not just adults. There are teenagers and children who are screwed up in the head that are doing this to people. And I can tell you this because I know. Because I know. Listen, you have to love yourself and your child enough. Because see, when something happens to your child, it's going to mess you up. Okay? But if something happens to your child, it's going to mess them up. But you can stop that. If you love yourself enough to not want to go through that, build that open relationship of communication. Build that open relationship of communicating in a way where they can come and tell you anything and you not to be emotional, even if you have to step away and cry about it later or whatever the case may be. But don't be too over emotional, because kids take that and they correlate that to a situation, and you don't want them to feel like they're making you sad. You don't want them to feel like that. You don't. You want them to be able to open up and talk to you. Okay? Yeah, so code word. Talk about a code word, get you a code word, repeat it. Repeat it daily if you have to, until it's etched in the brain for you as a mom and etched in the brain for them as children, and have that talk. There are books, and like I said, YouTube. Have that talk with your child and realize that it is not your fault. If it has happened to you as an adult and you know what you've been through and you know how you felt, a lot of times it's because you didn't have that talk with your mom or your dad didn't understand or didn't talk about those things with you. Don't make the same mistake. Do something different for your child. I love you guys, and I'm glad that it wasn't a whole bunch of communication because I was able to get it out. And please share this video. Share this video because it is serious. Sex offenders are not men only. Sex offenders are not adults only. They come in all shapes, sizes, and genders. This is for me. I work at a teen center. I put my notice in tomorrow. It's my last day. The kids were so disrespectful. I've been cursed out, back talk, it all too much. Sis, thanks for that. It's needed. Oh wow. Yeah, I was cursed out. I I was cursed out when I first started there, And I this was literally like a literal prison for kids. Like they wore shackles, they walked in lines. It was like a literal prison. And those kids that I told you had those long sentences, they were going over the fence to the regular maximum security. It was like, it's a strip in South Carolina where I lived at. In the city I lived at, it was nothing but jails. Like you rode down this road, it was nothing but maximum security prisons, death row, and all that stuff. And we were right next door to that facility, which is the death row facility, is where my husband worked at as well. So yeah, I'm telling y'all, have the talk. Or if you know that there's a parent, a young parent, a lot of times young parents, they're not aware, they're not thinking about that because they're still trying to live their life. But you know, things happen to their children because they're still in the mode of wanting to have fun. So whoever will keep my baby, they can keep them because I can live my life. If you know a niece or someone like that, talk to them. Take that baby in if you can, because a lot of times, whether you take that baby in or not, they're going to have somebody take that baby in. And when they're young, you can't get them to understand that it's not that serious, that they have to party, but they're still young. So if you want to protect that child, and you feel that it's something you can do, take the baby in. Take the baby in, or have the talk with that parent. And maybe they'll see things differently and not want to keep leaving their baby with other people. But yeah, it was stressful, Chocolate Kisses. It was really stressful when I first started, but I realized in the correctional system as an officer, when you stay straight and you stick to what you say what you mean, and mean what you say, they will understand that, and they never cross me. I had one juvenile cross me. I'm gonna tell y'all this quick story. So the unit, when you go into the unit, I'm sorry, my husband is cutting trim. When you go into the unit, it was freezing cold, it was wintertime, and we usually have about 60, 75 juveniles in one unit to two officers, okay? Mind you, the units that we were in had no doors. So you had these long hallways that you had to check periodically throughout the night, and there were no doors. So the kids could like literally jump up and jump on you if they wanted to do something crazy. But anywho, that's South Carolina for you. I don't think anything like that is up north. But anywho, it scared the bejesus out of me when I seen these long halls and how I had to walk these halls to check on these kids during the night or whatever. And then the end hall was a big room. It's a big room with the kids that were very aggressive. And these rooms had 24-hour surveillance in those rooms. Guess what? Still didn't have a door on them. So it was like 3, 6, 9 boys at the end room on each end. So when you walk in, it's like a V. So when you like a V like this. So in the middle right here was the day room, like a diamond, and then on each end of the diamond it was a hall that way and a hall that way. And my unit was usually on this side. And so at each side there was no, I'm lying. On one side it was the showers. So the boys on this unit was come to this unit to take their showers, but we had to watch them. When I tell you it is serious, I've seen children rape children like they do in big prisons. I've seen that. I've had to pull kids apart. And the things that I've seen, it will, yeah. But anywho, yeah. So with that being said, these are aggressive kids. These are really aggressive kids sexually or whatever the case may be. So I didn't want to be there, but I said, you know what? Since she was testing me, I'm going to go and I'm going to take this position with the sex offenders, which was something I really did not want to do because I just I don't feel them. I can't, yeah, I don't want to be too close to them because of thinking about how they hurt people and kids and innocent people like that. So anywho, one day it was freezing cold. We were coming from chow, and I'm lining them up and I'm counting them, and I got my chains and my keys and my flashlight and everything on me. So we go to the door, guys. We go to the door, and mind you, the building is shaped like a V. So the same way it is on the inside, it's like on the outside. So when you come to the door, right, it's a door right here. So it's a brick wall on this side, a brick wall on that side. So usually when you come to the door, you make them line up first on each side. So that way it's a distance between you and them. And so nobody can't do anything to you. And it's protection for you. Man, it was so cold that day, and my little jolly tail Didn't make them line up, and my other officer, just before we got to the unit, said she had to go up to the operations to pick up something from up there. And usually it's no big deal because they know I don't play. So this particular night, we taking them in from chow when it's kind of dawnish, like it's getting dark, but not really dark yet. And so we in the doorway, and I go walking to grab my keys, and as I'm walking to the door, somebody grabbed my butt. And when I say grabbed it, I'm talking grabbed it like, huh. And I heard, when I tell you everything, I was about to lose it. I was about to lose it because the way that they grabbed, it was just, oh, it just sounded like I wanted to throw up. I was so angry because now I know these kids. Now I know them, and I know their crimes, and I know the things, the heinous things that they've done to children and other little kids. And I was like, oh my gosh. I got in that walk, and I told 10-4, I said, listen, y'all need to get it down here ASAP because something is about to go down, and they know I don't play. When I say something about to go down, they know I don't play. I unlocked that door, and I was yelling, to your room, to your room, to your room, to your room, to your room. Lockdown, lockdown. I got all of them to the room, and it was this one juvenile, and he was in there. I think he had one of the most heinous crimes in there, and he was a Caucasian boy. And he had this laugh that he would do, and he would do just like this, y'all. Just like that. Like don't that seem creepy to you? So he's at the end room. Remember the room I told you, the real aggressive ones, they had cameras in it? He was at the end room. Now everybody's in their room, right? You always have to have juveniles that you're really close with. It's the same thing in big prisons. You have them inmates that's really close and tell you everything and snitch. Okay. So I lock everybody down, and at the end of the hall is him. And I'm like, get to your bed, in your bunks. I'm not playing. And like, I've never been a person to curse like that. You get what I'm saying? So if they heard me curse, they knew I wasn't playing. They'd be like, oh, Officer Paul is not playing. She is not playing. I said, get the in your rooms. I went off. When I say I went off in a way that they knew that it was about to go down. So the boy at the end of the hall, I came coming down the hall. I said, now listen, by the time I get to your room, you better be in there because I'm going to take you down so fast you ain't even going to be able to breathe. Like, he just stood there, and we got pressure points that we could take him down, just like they do with the adults. And I said 5, and I gave him time. Now, mind you, I'm on the camera as well. And he didn't listen. I took his tail down. I grabbed underneath that neck and that wrist, and I took him down so fast. Now, mind you, these ain't little kids. These boys be like 6 feet. Some of them bigger than 6 feet. Some of them like 5'7", 5'8". Like, these were big boys. Some of them had goatees, mustaches, like grown. This boy had a full-blown beard. Full-blown beard, and he was like 14, like legit. So long story short, I had to take him down, and they took him out. They end up taking him out. But this is the funny part. The one that the only reason I found out who did what they did is because when the operations sergeants and majors came down, I had, and now when they come down, they come in shackles, cuffed. They taking them out, like holding them up by the shackles, like it's jail. It's not no juvenile like detention center on lolly. No, it's like prison for kids. I'm so serious. It was mind blowing because it's not the same up north. So anywho, I went to the rooms trying to get information, and my one boy, he was the one that he used to get raped a lot. And after a while, I think he kind of liked it because he was really, femmy. So he, as I walked past the room, he would do a little tap, so I know he knows something. And so he came and he told me exactly who it was. And the crazy part about it is the boy who did this to me was so respectful to me, have never disrespected me, and I can ask him to do anything and he'll do it without a problem. It hurt me so bad. But I told him, I said, listen, it was him, it was two that partake in the I dare you to and you do it type of thing. So since y'all want to dare and play games, y'all both going down. So what happened was I said in front of the majors and the sergeants, I said, listen, I know who did it, and I will quit today if I do not get a 90-day lockup, 23-1. I'm not playing. That means 23 hours of lockup in one day of play, rec, lunch, all that in one shower. I'm not playing. Because what's not going to happen is anybody ever in their right mind will ever play me on this whole unit. From that day forward, they used to call me to the side with the girls. No one likes working with the girls. When I say the girls were a whole nother level of disrespect, the whole nine. And one day I was so sad that they called me over because I would hear so much stories like them girls big. And when I say they was big, they was like my size, bigger, big girls, big. Some of them, like dyke girls, type of girls, and all that type of stuff. Like, and these were all together. Like, it was some girls that was 17, some that was 18, and was kind of pushing it because the girls usually they mouth off too much. They end up going over to the adult ones faster than the boys do. They boys are a little bit smart about the way they do stuff. So we didn't really have any over 18. But anywho, I was called over to the girls, and this messed my brain up. They didn't know it. This person didn't notice. This juvenile didn't notice. But after I had locked them down, they did showers and everything. I had a couple little mishaps with some that didn't want to get off the phone, and I had to shut it down. My voice get real loud, like Carrie's loud, like to the point where you be like, okay, all right, okay, I heard you. And that's basically what they would do. Because I don't care who was in here before me, but when I step foot in here, this is my dorm. And anything I say that you're going to do, you're going to do it. And trust me, if you don't do it, you will get locked up. I didn't play. You have to say what you mean and mean what you say. So they knew my name around the campus for if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Because some officers say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No. So that's why anytime something happened, I became the girl. First, it was like I wanted to quit. The lady was putting me somewhere trying to be funny, but I became like the officer. Okay. So then it happens to be where it's nighttime and I'm walking the hallways and the girl, I'm talking full blown out, cover off, hand down there, and making sure I know that she's doing it to me. Because when I walked past and I had to do one of them, like come back, she said something about my butt. Okay, you want to play that game? And I act like I ain't hear her. And I kept going, went and got on the phone, locked her down. 60 days. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. You will not disrespect me. You will not do none of the above. I will not disrespect you. I will treat you like a human. But what you're not going to do is that. So she got locked down, and I was known for the lockdown queen. Don't mess with her. Don't say nothing out of the way to that officer because she does not play. So when I used to come into units, because then they start putting me with the units with older ones that actually were in like kind of ROTC and got like good merit, so they didn't have to go over to the big prison, which they was scared to go over to, and they was able to stay to like 2021 certain areas. It was kind of weird the way it was set up. So they would send me there, and as soon as you hear me walk through the door, they be like, oh man, we got her, because they know they can't get away with nothing. And the funny part about that is they would say that, but then you would have ones like, I'm kind of glad you're here, because when other officers in here, they just let kids do whatever. Yeah. And come to find out, one of the officers just did some things and ended up getting fired, was caught doing stuff with the juvenile, crazy stuff. But anyway, so sad thinking about those kids as parents. Exactly. And that's what I just said. I just was saying these kids that become sexually abused or have these issues they are our future. So if you don't have time to talk to them, or if you don't have time to give them a minute, or if you don't have the patience for it, somebody's got to. That's why I say I mentored for a long time. I did a lot of mentoring. I had a mentoring program. And mentoring is awesome. Mentoring is amazing. And a lot of times kids grow up with parents who are young and don't know themselves. If you can and you do have the patience, help where you can. Because these kids don't stay kids. They'll be us in our spots. Just like when we were kids and we looked at our parents, now we're there. We can't just turn a blind eye to what's going on. We can't. Because where would our future and where would our world be if we do? Where would it be? All right, guys, it is 39 minutes. I have to get in here and help my husband. We were trying to do some things for one of our children. I can't say in case she's watching. Code words. Code words, have the talk, no matter how you feel, how sad it makes you. Try to suck it up and try to just get it out. Have the talk with your kid, because kids are sex offenders. Women, women are sex offenders. There's all types of sex offenders. Don't just have your mind set on one type. And when I was talking to a lady the other day, she was like, you know what? Wow, I gotta talk to my son, because it's just like when you think about that, you only think about that happening to little girls. No, it actually happens to boys more. Definitely, what age would you recommend starting to? I talk with my babies when they're old enough to talk about, when they're old enough to have a correct sentence and say, hey, mommy, I want something to drink, or mommy, I got a pee pee, or mommy, just a correct a sentence, and you can understand them. That's when you talk to them. When you can talk to them and they can understand you, that's when you talk to them. Why? Because that right there, they're emotionless. They're emotionless. They can't attach anything when they're young. So it's like you're giving that freedom for them to talk about something that will be so open for them to talk to you about later in case something happens. So you start young. See, when you wait a little bit longer, they're kind of exposed to little things here and there, maybe in school and maybe in certain situations. See, my kids never went to daycare. My kids never had to be away from me in like a daycare setting like that. Only school. And even in school, you got to be careful, because you know you have reading lab teachers and math lab teachers that take certain kids away by themselves to go read in the math lab and stuff like that. And I've heard of things like that. And yeah. So you just want your child to know, you want to implement in their head, there's nothing that no one can do to you or with you that will make me mad. And you see how I just said that? I didn't look sad. I didn't look too extra happy. I didn't look none of the above. You have to look confident. There's nothing that you can ever tell mommy about anyone doing anything to you or anything that make you feel uncomfortable that will make mommy sad. Because you know what? I'm here to protect you at any cost. If anybody tries to do anything like touch your little pocketbook or touch your bum bum or anything like that, you better come and tell mommy. You promise? You promise you're going to come tell mommy? Now, that's the talk after you done told about the body parts, the pocketbook, whatever you want to call those things. That's the talk you have. And they're like, yeah, mommy. And then even if they might come and say somebody made a mistake, and they may not have, but still, so what? So what? Because mistakes might be mistakes to see if the kid don't say nothing too. So what? Let them tell you whatever. But like, really? Okay. I'm gonna get on them. They don't be make a mistake and touching your boom boom or something like that. You don't want to be sad. Because when you're sad, they're gonna like, mommy, that's okay. I don't want to say mommy, because if a kid has a connection to their parent and they love their parent, my babies don't like to see me sad. And sometimes if it's something that they want to tell me and they know I'm gonna be sad, they'll kind of try to hold off, but they'll tell me and they'll say, but mommy, I didn't want to make you sad. So I'll be like, no. Talk, what? And then they'll tell me or whatever. So that's why you have to really pay attention to how you talk when you talk to your kids, because it makes a difference. Even with Rizzy is 9 years old, but it's certain stuff like if I say it a certain way, I have to kind of fix it because she'll be so sad. Like, I'm like, Riz, no, mommy didn't mean it like that. You don't need to be sad. I'm not mad. I just wanted to know or whatever. So you have to really pay attention that your emotions are not overwhelming you when you have these conversations with your kids, because you don't want them to think that they're making you sad or making you angry when you do talk to them. Yes, I've heard of predators telling the kids that they're going to hurt their mom or that they don't get in trouble. So true, exactly. And Cindy, I was talking about that earlier about the code word. I talked about the code word earlier. So you also have to make sure. I don't know if you're a mom, a godmom, a grandmother, whatever. You have to make sure that there's a parent code word and a kid code word. That means if something happens to a parent, or a parent needs a person to go get their child, this child knows that my parent sent you because you gave me the code word. And if you call your child or your child calls you and they're with a abductor or a kidnapper and they're trying to get money or trying to blackmail or whatever the case may be, I'm talking about things that really happen. God forbid that it happen to us. But what you want to do is have that code word so that way, like for instance, if you call your child and you know that you let your child go with somebody and now they end up with somebody else and somewhere they're about to do drugs or do something they don't want to do or it's not looking too good and they say, yeah, mommy, I do want blueberries or something stupid. It has to be something that it'll trigger your brain to know something is wrong, but the person around them or whoever's around won't know that they're telling, you know, mom, come get me. I can't do this. These people are about to do drugs or do orgies or whatever. I don't know. You have to have a code word with your teen, your child, your baby, all of the above, okay? Because they all need help in some way, shape, and form. These kids interact and end up in situations that they really don't want to be in because of peer pressure. And sadly, the people closest to your kids are more likely to go through the grooming stage to see how much they can get away with. Thanks for the yes. Yes. It's usually family that does it. It's usually family that does it. And because it's family, that's the thing. You have to have that talk. And that's why when you have that talk, where you speak about anybody, granddad, uncle, auntie, whatever. If anybody tries to touch my baby boom boom, anybody, you get what I'm saying? You got to make it anybody. And when I say anybody, I'm saying that because I know firsthand that it's your family, the closest, like y'all share the same blood. Close, okay? And I know. Those be the ones. So you have to make sure that this child does not correlate, oh, grandpa loves me. And how would I tell mommy grandpa did something to me or uncle loves me and how or auntie loves me? You get what I'm saying? You want to break that bond of them feeling that because it's somebody so close that they can't tell you. So you got to have all that in the talk. All of that has to be a part of the talk. All of that. All of that. I promise you, you are saving your child's life and you are saving your headspace to be positive and to be not going insane. Because when something happens to our babies, you know we want to kill somebody. Okay? So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this talk. Please share this video because this is very, very important. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it's happening every day, every second, every minute. This is happening and no one wants to talk about it. They keep sweeping it under the rug. But that's why this channel is where it is. I'm going to keep talking about what people don't want to talk about because God told me to. And I'm going to continue. All right? And I feel like the universe needs this. It needs this. This channel is going to go where it's going to go, when it needs to go, how it needs to go, when it's supposed to. I love you guys, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. And remember, stick to your script because you are the best at it. I love you guys. And remember, you can always email me at the CPR Vibe or CPR for the Body if you have questions or if you have something you want me to talk about, and I will talk about it here. I will leave it anonymous if that's what you so desire, or I will put your name up. Actually, we don't even need to put a name. Just if you want to talk about something or you want me to go in depth about something, please email me and I will definitely do so. All right, talk to you guys later.